Makkot, page 23. We're getting close to, God willing, the end of Masechet. We prepare for the Siyum tomorrow. Today, this daf loaded with many subjects. First and foremost is the subject of Lashon Hara, evil gossip. Watch your tongue, be careful what you said, even it's true. The sources for that, examples of that, it's part of our discussion today. Also, we're going to talk about the broader subject which we discussed yesterday, smichut, meaning the Torah, it's not only, in our belief, a blueprint of life, it's also the divine document, meaning it's called smichut. If something is written in attachment to another thing, there are several connections that put them together. So we're going to learn the smichut haktuvim in several sources, the connection between subjects and how it's put together. A little bit Kabbalah, the whole idea of situation that the person sometimes exposed to shame, embarrassment. Sometimes he or she feel undeserved to that level of embarrassment. And the idea that those bizyonot, those humiliation, especially if it's a public humiliation, is a hasarat klipot. It's almost like saying is a certain things that the person committed sin, and as a result he have those layers, those bad entities around the person, and it's removed from him the moment he accepted. Even sometimes it appear as a total God inscrutable will. As long as he accepted that, it give a chance to those klipot, to those layers, to leave the person. Look different, but it's also connected. The reading of the Megillah on Purim. Is that rabbinic? Is that just a tradition? Where is the sources? Or more general statement, 3 places the heavenly court agree or somehow approve our court, meaning it was Beidin Shel Mata, it was our rabbinic court that make 3 important decisions, and soon you see how the, which we believe the heavenly tribunal court, a consent and agreed. The famous Mishpat Shlomo, the story of King Solomon, the son of Bathsheba and King David, that many stories relate to him. One of them is the story of 2 women that came to him with a baby, and each of them said, "It's my child." So understanding of that story, it's also part of our discussion today. So as you see, this daf, this page, repleted with so many wonderful things. Stay tuned with us. We are page 23, 4 lines from the top of the page. ואמר רב ששת משום רבי אלעזר בן עזריה מניין ליבמה שנפלה לפני מוכי שכין שאין חוסמים אותה, דכתיב לא תחסום שור בדישו וסמיכלי כי ישבו אחים יחדיו. The Torah tells us in the book of Dvarim, Deuteronomy chapter 25, the law of levirage marriage. Meaning you have a person, let's call him Reuven, he married, let's call her Tamar, Reuven married Tamar, they have no children. So result, if Reuven passed away, there is an obligation upon his brother Shimon to marry her, to in a way levirate her and have a child in a way named after the deceased brother to perpetuate the soul of the deceased. It's called mitzvat yibum. She, meaning Tamar, not allowed to marry anyone else. If he refused Shimon to marry the surviving wife, he needs to release her, and that's called chalitza. So how do you know from the biblical sources that if you have Yevama, this Tamar situation, fell in marriage to her husband's brother, who is in a way have those diseases? If you remember, we study in Tractate Makkot, you can watch us, page 77b, the idea of someone who's smitten with boils. Again, not necessarily that disease, it's just a paragon, an example of certain disease that is physically repulsive to her, that we not muzzle her. Muzzle doesn't mean physical, obviously. It means, in a sense of euphemism, that we are not silent her, we're not holding her mouth, we're not holding her from her objection to be forced to levirate, to marry him, because in conjunction, the next one, the Torah speak about physical acts. When you have an ox and during the time that he's threshing, you're not allowed to withhold the ox from eating. You're not allowed to put a muzzle on him. That's the Torah prohibited. And it's because it's written the next one in the level of proximity, which is the next phase in the Torah, speaks about two brothers that together and one brother passed away, and the obligation upon the surviving brother to marry Tamar, the surviving wife. We learn from that connection in the proximity in the text that the same way as we not muzzle, quote unquote, an ox, we not muzzle a surviving wife to marry someone against her will, and if we feel that it carries a serious claim, as the Gemara in Ktubot, Mishnah in Ktubot 77, Gemara in Ktubot 77b, we respected that and not forcing it. The Ritva and the Ramban said that we even go to the next step, which is she can ask milchatchila, which means at the first stage she has the right to say, no, I just want to have chalitza, I just want to be released. So we just learn it from the smuchim, from the fact that it's written one next to the other. Another one, ואמר רב ששת משום רבי אלעזר בן עזריה, כל המבזה את המועדים, כאילו עובד עבודת כוכבים. The well-known Mishnah in Pirkei Avot that we study together, that one who does not receive a share in the world to come is someone who denigrated or mocked or walk during the intermediary days of festivals. We know we have three festivals. Mainly we hear talking about the Pesach festival, between the first and the last days. In between is the intermediary days, the same as the festival of Sukkot. So if someone is denigrated those festivals by all kind of inappropriate, incongruous behavior, such as he does type work that is prohibited to do during the Chol HaMoed, because he feels that that's only a rabbinic in a way, so he feels that, Tosfot elaborate in Tractate Chagiga, page 18, but it's basically, we call him the same as someone who's worship idols. Why? It's not just the idea, it's because it's written in attachment to one another. The Torah said in the book of Shmot, chapter 34, verse 17, Elohei Masecha, you should not make for yourself any molten false gods. And then the next verse 18, the Torah said, you should observe the festival of Matzot. So because it's written one next to the others, we understand that we are obligated to respect and observe the intermediary days of the festival. And because the Torah said that the prohibition against molding gods, idol worshipping, we say that it's ke'ilu, it's like, in a sense of denigrating or mocking or violating the spirit of the intermediary days of Chol HaMoed. You should remember that it is in a way Chol, but it's Moed, and there's numerous stories of rabbis and great people that treated really almost like a Moed, like a festival. Obviously, it is not total festival because it's intermediary days, but by halacha we now allow only davar ha'eved, if there is something that you absolutely need to do it, otherwise you, for example, lose your very basic foundation of food. or things like that, that is absolute necessary, and even though we need to ask a prominent rabbi to understand what allow, what not. The third one, which is the last one for this discussion in סמיכות, ואמר רב ששת משום רבי אלעזר בן עזריה, כל המספר לשון הרע וכל המקבל לשון הרע וכל המעיד עדות שקר ראוי להשליכו לכלבים. So here they speak about the law of evil gossip. So anyone who speaks derogatory of another, or someone who has a part of hearing a derogatory utterance, even it is total true. So the whole idea is, by halakha, the Chafetz Chaim and others explain, makes no difference in a sense of you saying, he or she saying it, you hear it, it is true. As long as it's evil gossip, it's evil gossip. The same as one who hears false witness. So they said deserve to be thrown to the dogs. Why the dogs and what's they? Meaning that not deserve to be buried. So because the Torah put it in attachment. The Torah said in the book of Shemot chapter 22 verse 30, Lakelev tashlichun oto, meaning the dog you shall cast it, the flesh of an animal that was wounded and therefore rendered not kosher, treifa, you leave it for the dog. V'samich shlei, and Torah write in the proximity of a text next to that one, lo tisa shem hashav, you shall not accept a false report, which is the prohibition against accepting derogatory utterance as true. And as the Rambam in Lekot chapter 7 said, that you may think that because it's true there's any difference. No, it's not. It's lashon hara, it's lashon hara. And it therefore is prohibited. Krei beiname lo tasi. So you should also read the term of lo tisa as if it were vowelized lo tasi. You shall not cause a false report to be accepted, in a way that is a prohibition against speaking derogatorily. Now the Mishnah continues and said, Ushtei retzuot. So here we talk about the two straps that ran up and down through it. So that's made out of asui me'or, made out of skin, and it's kshurot, and it's tight, two stripes from donkey or lot v'yordot. So several perushim, but the key is that is na'av v'nada, that can go easily up and down. Tana shel chamor, they're made out of donkey hide. Ki dedarish ha'u glila alei de Rav Chasida. This is one of the rabbis from the Galil that explain based on the prophecy of Isaiah chapter 1 verse 3. Yada shor koneu v'chamor evus be'alav Yisrael lo yada mi lo yitbonan. The famous statement that we said at the Shabbat before Tisha B'Av, the prophet Isaiah, which approximately about 200 years before the destruction of the first temple, already prognosticated the destruction. So he talked about people who are very unreciprocated. And he said, look, the ox knows its honor. Donkey recognizes the food. But unfortunately the nation did not recognize God. אמר הקדוש ברוך הוא יבוא מי שמכיר אבוס בעליו ייפרע ממי שאינו מכיר אבוס בעליו. So it's like measure for measure. Let the one who recognizes his master through come and exact punishment from one who does not recognize his master's through. So the hide of a donkey who recognizes his master flog the sinner who does not recognize his master. Now, there is a concept in Judaism that's called Hakarat Hatov, the Maharal explained. Recognize the good. So that's the ox. He recognized God, he recognized good. Donkey is kind of, the rabbinic interpretation is different, but still recognized because he's fed. You know, certain animal almost addicted to the owner, if they knew that the owner is the one who provided them the food. The Maharal said, since the soul of a person is a reflection of ox and the body is like a donkey, that it's more materialistic, so one who's seen in both deserve to be to receive Malkot, the Maharal said. But that's the idea that he said about the nation. Lo yada is not recognized from be'alut, from the ownership, and doesn't have the hakarat atov, the recognition of the good. I heard from one of my colleagues, he talked to one of his constituencies, and she called him Balat Tshuva, is a lady that used to work for a big company, and then she turned to be religious. So now Shabbatot, it's the winter time, earlier. So she's the one always asking a question, etc. So she said to her boss, who's Jewish, not observant, but she said, I have to leave earlier because I need to light candles before sunset. So he said to her, I need you for work. You have a lot of work here and I need you, and it's you are crucial for the business. She said, I know, but I'm Shabbat observant, and I believe that Shabbat protected me and provided the needs for me, and I need to leave. So he gets angry at her, and he said to her, listen, I'm the one who writes you a check, I'm the one who pay you salary. Why you think that the Shabbat is the one who shield you and protect you and help you? So in a way, it's a lesson obviously of faith, but here they speak about the nation, that the prophet Isaiah complained bitterly, and he said, look, the donkey recognized who is the real owner, and even the ox, and the donkey recognized even just by merely fact that you have the food. But this is the importance of understanding that when it's all said and done, there is God who commanded us to do certain things, and He is above everything else. Anyway, Yada Tefach. So here we talk about the Retzuah, the strap. So we say that the whip's handle should be 1 handbreadth long, and the strap should be long enough so that its tip reaches the beginning of his stomach. Amar Rabbi Yashma mina kol chad vechad lefum gabei avdinan lei. It means that you do to each and every person according to his corresponding to the width of its back. Not everyone is the same. Amar leRava im ken nefish lehu retzuot tuva. So the Beit Din should carry a lot of different stripes that proper for each and every person. The whip, Amar leRava im ken nefish lehu retzuot tuva. Amar leRava, Ela Amar Rava, avketa itlei. So avketa itlei, it's make it knot that is adjustable, so that the whip could be customized for the size of each and every individual. So there is a few mefarshim. The Meiri said that it's like a knob that you can make it long or short. The Rambam said no, that you make a hole in that piece of wood and you pull this whip so you can make it larger or smaller. But anyway, kibae miktar bei, kibae marpe ba. So when he had to, he will tighten it, or if he needs to, he loosen it. I know nowadays, obviously we don't do it, but I heard many people talk about 50 years ago and more, that they used to have melamdim that physically used to do this type of malkot. Anyway, malkinoto. The Bedin flags him. 1/3 of the lashes on his front and 2/3 on his back. מנע נמילה, אמר רב כנא דאמר קרא, והפילו השופט והיכהו לפניו כדי רשעתו במספר, רשעה אחת מלפניו, 2 רשעיות מאחריו. So 1 front, 2 part of wickedness should be upon his back. אין מלקים אותו. So you don't, the Bedin not strike him neither standing nor sitting, but bent over. אמר רב חיסדא, אמר רבי יוחנן, עניין לרצועה שהיא מוכפלת. How do you know that the stripe should be double over? שנאמר, והפילו, the judge shall cast him down. So the Gemara said, והמי באלה לגופי, אם כן לכתוב קרא יתהו מה יפילו, שממינה תרתי. So it means that you learn two things. Number one, it said that you have to bend over the one who lashed. That's the literal meaning of the pasuk. And also from the change would mean that you have the strap need to be double. Hamake beyado. The one who administered the lashes strike with one hand with all his might. Tanu Rabbanan en ma'amidim chazanim. Here chazanim is different meaning than what we know today. The people who basically have the physical strength to do the Malkot. Ela chaseirei koach. Chaseirei koach literally meaning people who have not much strength. The Tosfot San said the opposite way, that it should be strong people. Veiterei mada, also wise sages. Rabbi Yosei omer afilu chasirei mada veiterei koach. Rabbi Yehuda hold the other way, even those who lacking intelligent and possessing great physical strength. אמר רב עקבתא דרבי יהודה מסתברא, דכתיב לא יוסיף, פן יוסיף. אם אמרת בשלמה חסרי מדע, או צריכים לעזור אלא מירת חסרי מדע, מי צריך לעזור? So why you need to tell the wise people that they should not strike the person more than he deserves. ורבנן אין מזרזין אלא למזורז. It is worthwhile to urge only one who is already motivated. People who lacking intelligence do not heed warning. So it's the whole idea of the sages view over the Rabbi Yehuda. It's not talking to lazy people. Tana. כשהוא מגביה, מגביה בשתי ידיו, וכשהוא מכה, מכה בידו אחת. When he lifted, raised the whip, he smite the guilty person with two hands, and when he strikes, it's one. Which means that it's come from his own, the agent's full strength. So here we talk about the reader who reads the psukim, the head of the judges read these psukim. Hasheni moneh, which means that before each strike he make the number. והשלישי אומר הכהו, and the third one said smiting. בזמן שהמקם הוא מעריך, בזמן שהמקם הוא ילד, מקצר. So if they estimate, for example, that he deserved 39, so the greatest of the judges, he lengthened it so he can complete it at the time of the completion of the Malkot. But if it's less, like 36, so he's mekatzer, the judge shortened his recitation of the verses by saying them quickly. So the Gemara said, "Va'anan tnan chozer litchilat hamikra." He goes back to the beginning and repeats it again. So they said, "Mitzvah letzamtzem v'lo tzimtzem chozer litchilat hamikra." The mitzvah is to precise so that the recitation is complete with the final lash. But if he is not precise, then he returns to the beginning of the pasuk and begin to repeat them. Tanu Rabbanan. We learn that it's 40, not more by the Torah. So we derive for that makam rabba enli, ela makah rabba, which means that the idea that a great beating, so a great number of blows beyond the prescribed amount. But makamu etet minayin, for how do you know that small amount? So they said, Talmud lomar lo yosif. We derive from the word we shall not add, that he shall not add even a single blow to the number that prescribed. Im ken ma Talmud lomar makah rabba, limed al harishonot she'em makah rabba. Teach us the first lashes, the prescribed number, that they are considered a great beating. Not in terms of number of lashes, but in terms of the force with which each lash is meted out. nitkalkel. So the moment that one who's soiled himself is denigrated, so we let go. So to remind me a story I heard from my uncle. He was Rav Tzvi. He was in the army in those days in the during Yom Kippur War. So he described they went to Golan Heights, and his team recognized a shooting from one of those hills by terrorists. So they get together and decided to go there and respond and attack back. So he remembered that they went to one of the guys who mainly works in the kitchen, and he was very, very frightened, and he was screaming and yelling. He says he's staying in the kitchen, he's not going to do that. So they went there, and they was exchanged shooting, and eventually they killed the terrorists. So after they killed the terrorists, they went to examine, make sure that he's dead. So he said his unit went there, and all of a sudden this guy that was hiding in the kitchen and scared, he came out and he took his gun and he was cursing the dead body and beating him up while he was already dead. So anyway, תנו רבנן, אחד האיש ואחד האישה, בראי ולא במים דברה במי. רבי יהודה אומר, האיש בראי והאישה במים. Because for her, the merely fact that she's there, it's already denigration and embarrassment. ואחר אומרים, אחד האיש ואחד האישה, בין בראי בין במים. ועתניא רבי יהודה אומר, אחד האיש ואחד האישה בראי, אמר רב נחמן, שניהם שווים בראי. So במים is different. That woman is exempt and man not. But the ראי, anyway, אמר שמואל, כפתור ורץ מבדין פטור. So this guy, he was bound his post, and he was somehow free himself and fled from the Bet Din. So we leave him alone and we exempt him from receiving lashes. So, meaning he was not strong enough to take it, or he was crying and sobbing and ran away. By merely fact that he behaved like that, we leave him alone. מתי וכלה, בין בראשונה בין בשנייה פותרים אותו. נפסקה רצועה, בשנייה פותרים אותו, בראשונה אין פותרים אותו. עמי להווי קרץ, like who fled from the bed din, Shmuel hold that he is exempt even though it happens before the attendant raised the whip the first time. So say, Atam rats, hacha lo rats. Anyway, Tanu Rabbanan. Amadu, the thing the person is total panic, is total hysteric. So they make assessment, the Bet Din. And they said, Lech shilke, the most of the Forshim, the Bach, and others call Yikle. So the Rivan explained here, the doctor, for example, he whispered to them, and he said, this is the Rivan, פירושו לכשיקלה יקלה, ילקה יקלה, שעמדו שימלקו מיד התקלקל בראי פותרין, דבן יוסיף ונקלה הכתיב. דין לא נותנים לו מכה שיקלה עליה מיד, כך שמעתי, אבל עמדו שלא יתקלקל, עד לאחר מלכות מלכין אותו. Anyway, so פותרין אותו. Leave him alone. לכשיצא מבית דין קלה, after leaving the bed din, after all the lashes had been administered, מלכים אותו ולא עוד, אלא אפילו קלה בתחילה מלכין אותו. שנאמר, ויקהו ונקלה, ולא שלקה כבר בבית דין. So first the Rivan. So the Kabbalistic Mefarshim said, imagine if a person take something that caused him diarrhea, a sam meshalshel, and he took it just before the Malkot. So obviously, if you learn the sugya, he can exempt himself. So the bizayon lifnei Malkot, they must speak the denigration of himself before receiving the lashes. It's enough. But it shows us also how much the Torah is full of compassion and mercy. According to the Sod, according to secret document in Judaism, the Kabbalah. So the idea is that a person committed a transgression, a sin, so he received klipot. It's called in the literature like layers that stick with him. Nitbaza ma'abusha, the moment that he has such an embarrassment, the klipa departed from him. Anyway, that's the idea that he's already in a state of great embarrassment. Mishnah. So the Mishnah in the beginning of this perek, this beautiful chapter of Elu Malukim in page 13 tells us that if someone committed a sin, that he deserved karet, that soul shall be cut off by Edim Zomemim, by heaven, if they forewarn him to receive Malkot, and he received Malkot. So they said, Kol chayave kritot shelaku nifteru al-ידי kritatam. All those who are liable to karet, who are lashed, so they become exempt from their karet. Shene'emar, because it said, ונקלע אחיך לעיניך, כשלקה הרי הוא כאחיך. So that's the Gemara in Megillah, and Rashi is there on Megillah page 7 said, and Adam Rishonim, that even he didn't do Teshuvah and didn't have the atonements, that because he received Malkot, so he exempt from the karet. Otherwise, the Balamor said if he did Teshuvah, that Teshuvah will exempt him from that. But the idea, Areu ke'achicha, is like your brother, in a sense that כאילו לא חטא מעולם. It's like never seen. דברי רבי חנניה בן גמליאל. Another important statement from רבי חנניה בן גמליאל. ואמר רבי חנניה בן גמליאל, מה אם העובר עבירה נוטל נפשו עליה, עושה מצווה אחת על אחת כמה וכמה שנתן נפשו. If someone who committed a sin, you forfeit his life because of it. How much so if one who perform a single mitzvah, how much you giving to him? The divine standard for reward far surpasses the divine standard for retribution. מידה טובה מרובה ממידת פורענות. Nemukei Yosef said that based on the Mishnah in Kiddushin 39b, that if one did one mitzvah, it's already like deserved to have extension of his life. רבי שמעון אומר ממקומו הוא למד, שנאמר ונכרתו הנפשות העושות. So the Rivan said, לכתיב ונכרתו הנפשות, במידת טובה מרובן ברעידת פורענות, 1 מ-500 במידת פורענות, פוקן אבות הבלבנים על 3 ורבים, מידת טובה יעשה חסד לאלפים. So, and he said, ונתן חיים למונע ובדל מהם, לכתיב כל המראות ושמרתם את חוקותיו ואת משפטי. So basically it's show us the same way that is a punishment is in a way more in that sense reward, because the beginning of the parashat Arayot, the pasuk said in chapter 18 verse 5, בי אשר יעשה אותם האדם וחי בהם. It's a very important line. They said that you shall do the mitzvot and the rules, but men shall carry out by which the person shall live. And then they said, ish ish al kol sher besaro lo tikrevu legalot erva, which means all these law and ordinances that Torah warn us, that's those isurei arayot. Torah said v'chai b'hem, shall live by them. אשר יעשה אותם וחי. כל היושב ולא עבר עבירה נותנים לו שכר כעושה מצווה. So someone who's able to withstand that, as the Gemara in Kiddushin 39b tells us, that you have an opportunity to sin, especially the way the Rambam explained in L'chot Shuvah, the same one that he stumbled before, and he was able to withstand them and overcome his temptations. Like the Rambam in Purush HaMishnah give a good example of Yosef HaTzadik, the biblical Joseph, that was able to withstand and overcome those temptations. It's a beautiful Rambam in L'chot Yesodot Torah chapter 5 that expand on that. So that's received. So the whole idea here, it's so beautiful. If we talk about concept of punishment, how much so is a reward for mitzvot. Also, here we talk about reward for those who are able to avoid themselves from fell to those temptations. Rabbi Shimon bar Rabbi Omer, הרי הוא אומר, the Torah said in the book of Dvarim, chapter 12, verse 23, רק חזק, mean be strong, לבלתי אכול הדם. You shall not eat the domesticated, not domesticated animals' blood, כי הדם הוא הנפש, because the blood is the source of life. So, and then the Torah said, in order that that the person be well, you and your children after you. So because of that, it's kind of promised that if you avoid yourself from eating blood, you have a reward for the future. מה אם הדם שנפשו של אדם קצה ממנו, הפורש ממנו מקבל זרע. If a blood that in a normal way a person is not a cannibal, and a person in a natural way he abstained from these things, receive reward for not doing it. גזל ועריות, the theft and immorality, that שנפשו של אדם מתאווה להם ומחמדתן, that the person have a great desire to follow them. הפורש מהם, one who avoid himself from that, על אחת כמה וכמה, how much so, שיזכה לו ולדורותיו ולדורות דורותיו עד סוף כל הדורות. He and his future generation, לדור ודור, from one generation to the next, that he receive a great reward, he and his future generation as well. Now we go to the last beautiful memra that I assume all of you either heard or know it well. Rabbi Hanania ben Akashia Omer. Rabbi Hanania ben Akashia is a Tana from the 4th generation, the generation of Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, that the only place we have it in the Tosefta Shkalim, but in the Mishnayot, if you go to the Brachot to Nida in the Shas, or Brachot to Uktzin in the Mishnayot, 63 Masechtot, this is the Mishnah, the only Mishnah that mention his name. The question is why? The 2 cents is from here. Rabbi Hanan ben Akashia אומר, רצה הקדוש ברוך הוא לזכות את ישראל. The Almighty desired to confirm merit upon our people, to increase the reward for our people by providing them with many opportunities for different mitzvot observance. So it's like midah keneged midah. I remember the late Bostoner Rebbe, who used to be my neighbor in Har Nof in Yerushalayim, used to be very strong with people who said, oh, es ist schwer zu sein a Yid. It's hard to be a Jew. He said the opposite. It should be a great zchut to have lefichach irba lehem Torah mitzvot, that the Almighty gives the Jewish people many mitzvot in the Torah, that you have an opportunity because the Aruch LaNer explained, don't feel, the Gemara said that, oh, it's so hard not to wear shatnez, or so hard not to eat pork, and things like that. Say that I like to do it, but I'm doing it because it's the right thing to do. That's the way the Almighty asked me to do it. And the person that reaches that level, that he does the mitzvot out of love, not out of fear or trepidation of punishment, but out of love, so that you receive reward. The rabbis elaborate and they tell us, you see it in the Drashot Aran and others, Maharal says that the person should choose one mitzvah that the entire life he stick to that mitzvah no matter what. So here he speaks about the expansion, the idea that the persons have so many opportunities in so many mitzvot, he can pick in one mitzvah that he can do better and be very scrupulous with that mitzvah. But the idea is that it's all for our good. So in a way, because in our language God was so happy with that so positive attitude, so that's the reason. The Meshech Chochmah in the book of Shemot, chapter 12, verse 21, said that the Almighty wants to purify the nation of Israel. Lezakot is come from the root word of zakut, zikiti libi. So it's in order to subjugate the body to serve God. But obviously there are many. So Shene Emar, because it's written, Hashem chafetz leman tzidko, the Almighty desire for the sake of Israel righteousness, yagdil Torah v'yadir, the Torah be expanded and strengthened. So basically, this is expression of wishes that makes the nation of Israel righteous with abundant rewards. So the Almighty gave them so many mitzvot, the people could earn a reward for observing them. Now, the truth is that there are many midrashim on this, and because you hear it all the time, I remember one of my closest friends was the late Rabbi Shalom Gordon. When I was a rabbi in New Jersey, central New Jersey, at the mid-90s, we have a next-door neighbor, but we became very close friend. It was a Chabad rabbi, Rabbi Shalom Gordon, old-time Chabad rabbi. And he described one time in one of his beautiful stories, he was buried next to the Lubavitcher Rebbe. You go to Lubavitcher Rebbe Ohel, it's really next one. So Rabbi Shalom ben Rabbi Yochanan Gordon, great man. So Rav Gordon once said, he took his shul to a trip to Israel, and they saw the graveside, and it's written there on the tombstone, Rabbi Hananiah ben Akashia. So he stopped the bus and told people to go there. So they said, oh, there's so many rabbis. Why? He says, no, this is different one. This is the one who all the shiurim, when we finish our classes, we focus in and mention his name. So obviously, there are many, many reasons. I remember Rabbi Gordon's amazing man. This is go back to the 96 or 7. He used to embarrass me. I used to come to his shul for Mincha and Shalishudis on Shabbos, and he used to stand up, ask me to give a class, etc., and I felt very uncomfortable. And he every time repeat that line. He said to me, Rabbi Weisblum, Matai tidgaleh. When is the kind of time that you reveal yourself to the world? Anyway, he's a great man, very strict too. He stood before me all the time, so I never liked it. Anyway, may he rest in peace. So here the Gemara goes to the next level and brings the explanation of the word of Rabbi Hanina ben Gamliel. He said that Chayavei Kritut had exempt from the karet, excuse me, by receiving Malkot. Amar Rabbi Yochanan Chalukin alav chaverav al Rabbi Hananiah ben Gamliel. Most of the sages of his generation disputed, and they said that the Malkot exempt him from the karet. So the Ritva explained that obviously it's clear that Rabbi Yitzchak hold, as we learn on page 13b, that you don't have Malkot in those Chayvei Kritut, and he disputed Rabbi Chaim ben Gamliel. But Rabbi Yochanan bring here a big chidush, and he teaches us that even Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Ishmael that hold that if you forewarn those Chayvei Kritut that deserve Malkot, they disputed Rabbi Hananiah, and they hold that they receive Malkot, but the Malkot will not exempt them from the karet. That's the way the Ritva explains. But the proof to the word of Rabbi Yochanan, Amar Avad Barava, some say that he challenged and questioned Rabbi Yochanan. Anyway, Amrei Beirav, Tanin, and that's a well-known Mishnah in Tractate Megillah, page 7b. Ein ben Shabbat liyom HaKippurim, the desecration of the sacredness of Shabbat or the Day of Atonement, is no different between them. So obviously the Meiri and others said that it is some different, but here they want to emphasize on the point, the Ela Shezeh, the one who desecrates Shabbat, Zdono, if he did it with forewarning and intentionally, Bidei Adam, the Bet Din give him skila, Veze, one who desecrated Day of Atonement, Yom Kippur, Zdono, if he did it intentionally, Behi Karet, by Karet. That's a heavenly punishment. Ve'im ita, if you tell me the way that Rabbi Hanina ben Gamliel that Chayavei Kritu that receive Malkot, they exempt from Karet, Idi, regardless if it's a Shabbat or Yom Kippur, Bidei Adamu, it's punishable by human authority. So the Shabbat desecrated by Skila, and Yom Kippur desecrated by Malkot, which absolved him from Karet. So basically that's not match the view of Rabbi Chanina ben Gamliel. Rab Nachman bar Yitzchak Omer, he rejected that, and he said, Hamani Rabbi Yitzchaki, Amar Malkut bechayavei kritot leika. He said that Malkut is never imposed upon those who are liable to receive karet. So basically that's the way that they agree with him. דתניא רבי יצחק אומר, חייבי כריתות בכלל הוא, ולמה יצאת כרת באחותו? לדונו בכרת ולא במלכות. אשי אומר, אפילו תימא רבנן, זה עיקר זדונו בידי אדם, וזה עיקר זדונו בידי שמיים. אומר רב עדה בר אבא, אומר רב, הלכה כרבי חנינא בן גמליאל. הלכה כרבי חנינא בן גמליאל, that those חייבי כריתות that receive מלכות בעולם הזה, here, so they exempt from the כרת בעולם הבא. So אומר רב יוסף, man salik leila ve'ata. Who is the guy that went to heaven and returned and told us this? How do you know that? How many times people ask us this question? Rabbi, where do you get it from? How do you know these things? Man salik leila ve'ata ve'amar. Who is the one that bring this halakha, that the one who received Malkot, he is exempt from Beidin Shemala, from heavenly court that received karet. Amar le Abaye, Abaye respond to Rav Yosef, Ela ha de'omar Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. שלושה דברים עשו בדין של מטה והסכימו בדין של מעלה לאדם. Frightening words, listen carefully. There are three important matters that enacted by earthly rabbinic court, Bet Din, and the heavenly court agree with them. Man desalik le'ela ve'ata ve'amar. Who is the one? Ela kra'ei kadarshinan. We derive that from the sources of the writings. Hachana mekra'ei kadarishan. We also expound from a scriptural verses, psukim. That's the way we rule the halacha. Guf amar Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, שלושה דברים, the Ritva said, שלושה דברים, these three matters that appear ostensibly opposed to the Torah, עשו בדין של מטה, the earthly court enacted, והסכימו, and heavenly court consent, agree, בדין של מעלה על ידם, ואלו הם, here are they. Number one, מקרא מגילה. So the Ritva explained to us, based on the Midrash Ruth Rabbah, that since the Torah tells us in the book of Vayikra, chapter 27, verse 34, Eile HaChukim, these are the law and enactment that the Torah put, and we derive from that in Megillah, page 2, that we don't add or subtract any mitzvot. Here we have the idea of Purim and the reading of the book of Scroll of Esther on Purim, that this is something that the Almighty brightened the eyes and the heart, and they add that to those rabbinic mitzvot. As you know that we have 613 commandments, we have 248 and 365 positive and negative positive, but we have another 7 rabbinic commandments. So that's one of them. Ush'eilat shalom beshem. And also greeting a person, that's Mishnah in Brachot 54, that a person greet other with the name of the Almighty God. Yasem alav shalom. And is not considered a desecration of name of God. Sigmar in Shabbat, page 10b, that explain how and what. And number 3, v'havaat ma'aser, and bringing the ma'aser, the tithe. That's enactment that the sages put, that bring a trumot to ma'asrot, bring it to the chamber, to a special location they have in the holy temple, and the people, the treasurer and people in charge for the house maintenance, spread it upon the befitting Kohanim and Leviyim, even the biblical precept, the owner can put it to whoever they wish to, and the Kohanim should share with Leviim the first Maaser. Even the Torah said it's only for the Leviim. Another important enactment that they have this tightening of Trumot U'Masot even from other fruits, produce, and also from vegetables. So, because if you go by the Torah, we have only the Chameshet Minei Dagan, the 5 species of chita, seora, wheat, barley, kusemet, shibolet, shwan, shipon, rye, etc. But others, perot ta'ilan, other fruits from the trees, it's only midivrehem, it's only by rabbinic. So you see the beauty. Mikra Megillah dechtiv kimu v'kiblu hayudim. They said in the book of Esther, chapter 9, verse 27, that the Jewish people accept, confirm, and undertook upon themselves, kimu lemala, ma shekiblu lemata. They confirm above in the heavenly court, which is accept below in the earthly court, namely the book of Esther, read on Purim, and also Ledorot. So the Gemara in Megillah, page 7, said it was a Ruach HaKodesh, literally meaning Holy Spirit, but it's like they have the divinity that they foresee the future. Second enactment, Ushilat Shalom, that greeting with using the name of God, Dichtiv, in the book of Ruth, chapter 2, the story how V'ine Boaz Bami Betlechem, the leader Ivtzan Boaz, came from the city of Bethlehem. Vayomer lakotzrim Hashem imachem. He said to those who harvester, he greeted them, the Almighty be with you. So the truth is that the sages disputed if Boaz is Ivtzan or not. That some said it was an era of Barak and Dvorah, some said it was Ehud ben Gera and Shamgar ben Anat. But anyway, the idea is that he greeted those harvesters with the name of God. V'omer Hashem imcha gibor echail. They said also when the angel appeared to Gidon, the judge, he said, the Almighty with you, mighty man of valor. So the two psukim provide the sages with a precedent for their enactment. Mai ve'omer, v'chitema Boaz hu de'avid mida'ate. You may think that Boaz did it for his own logical reason, umishmaya lo askimo ledo, and maybe they haven't, did not consented. Tashma ve'omer Hashem imcha gibor hechail. Because they said Almighty is with you, mighty man with valor, it's very lucid that the heavenly court endorse this matter. The third one, Hava'at. How do you know that the heaven agree with Hava'at Ma'aser? Bring the tithe, the Ma'aser, because that's a well-known statement in the book of Malachi, chapter 3. Malachi was among the last prophets and one of the men of the great assembly. Dechtiv aviu et kol ha'ma'aser l'bet ha'otzar, bring all the Ma'aser to the temple treasury. V'yi teref beveiti, so the Kohanim and Leviim, they're serving the temple, they have the food, and the prophet promised that the prophet Malachi promised to people, uvchanuni na bazot, and you can check me, you can test me now through this, said the Almighty, Amar Hashem Tzvakot, im lo eftach lachem et arbot hashamayim varikoti lachem bracha al bli dai. As I promise that I open the window of heaven for you, and I bring you a abundance blessing without limit. My ad bli dai, what does that mean without limit? Amar Rabbi bar Rav, ad sheyivlu siftoteichem, until your mouth, your lips, will wear out for saying milomar dai, to say enough. So you see here 3 beautiful sources, 3 מקומות, פסקו בדין של מטה והסכימו בדין של מעלה, that they rule here in our earthly court and the heavenly court consent and agree. אמר רבי אלעזר ב3 מקומות הופיע רוח הקודש. And there are 3 places that either the Ruach HaKodesh have the bat kol or appear the righteous of a person. Number 1, bebet dino shel Shem, son of Noach, Shem. So soon you see the story. Number 2, bebet din shel Shmuel HaRamati. Number 3, bebedin shel Shlomo. Number 1, bebedin shel Shem. Dechtiv, that's the story of Yehuda and Tamar in Bereshit 38:26. ויקר יהודה ויאמר צדקה ממני, when Yehuda had relation with his daughter-in-law unintentional, and she was pregnant, he about to burn her, and she brought all the sign that he left her. So, ויקר יהודה ויאמר צדקה ממני. So Yehuda recognized that and he said, she is right. How do you know that? Dilma kiheiche da'azili ulgaba, as lama היא שחרינה לגבה. The same way as he cohabited with her, maybe someone else also visited her and she was pregnant from one of them. שיצאה בת קול ואמרה, ממני יצאו כבושים. Said, for me, have these hidden things emanated. So ממני, it's the רוח הקודש בדין של שם. Number 2, בבית דינו של שמואל, דכתיב, הנני אנובי נגד השם ונגד משיחו. When the prophet Samuel tell the people before he would give the leadership to King Saul, he opened to the entire congregation, he said, צ'ור מי לקחתי, meaning I never took anything from anyone, ואמרו לו, השקתנו ולא רצתנו, ואמר להם, עד השם ועד משיחו, כי לא מצאתם בידי מאומה, ויאמר עד. ויאמר, they said it in a singular way, ויאמרו מבעלה, they should say, as a many, as a plural, יצאת בת קול ואמרה, אני עד בדבר הזה, it's a heavenly voice, a divine spirit issue forth, and said, I am a witness in this matter. The third one, בדינו של שלמה, דכתיב in the book of Kings, the first one, chapter 3, was a well-known court case of two women that claim the baby is there, and one of the baby died, the surviving baby, each of them said that it's there. Well-known story. So they appear before the court of Bedin of King Solomon. He said, cut the child. Obviously, one mother said that do it, the other one said not, and the one who said not, obviously was the mother. ויען המלך ויאמר תנו לה את הילד החי והמת לא תמיתו כי אמו. Famous story. So the Meiri in Yevamot 17, and you see Adam Meforshim said, based on Shir Hashirim Rabbah, that it was a Yevamot, which means that there are women that basically lost the husband, and if basically you kill the son, she will exempt from the Yibun. So he understand the motive behind that, but the other Mefarshim goes differently. Anyway, Menayada Dilma Iarume Me'arma, maybe she's only here tricked him. Say Abat Kol Vamra, he imo, divine spirit, the heavenly voice, issue forth and said she is his mother. Amarav Mimai Dilma Yehuda Kevan dechashiv yarchei yoma v'yitra דחזין מחזקינן דלא חזין לא מחזקינן. שמואל נמי כולו ישראל קרא לו בלשון יחידי דכתיב ישראל נושע בהשם. שלמה נמי מדהה כמרחמתה והלא כמרחמתה, that one have compassion on him and one not. אלא גמרא, you have to say that it's through a tradition that we know that the divine spirit made its view known in these three cases. This disclaimer of Yehuda mimeni, in Shmuel Ed, and Shlomo Hi Imo. So that's basically the tradition that we receive in the divine spirit.